This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, good to have you here. Remarkable Results Radio. Hey, one more time, please let me remind you of BreaksForBreasts.com, the great October initiative that we have that's been raising up to $1.8 million for the Cleveland Clinic and research for the triple-negative breast cancer vaccine. So we're so proud to be part of that, and it's a constant reminder to you. Go to BreaksForBreast.com. Watch this most recent episode we did on actually how to do this. I am kind of thrilled. I've got a hell of a panel here with me, and I'll tell you the story. It was Tracy who actually put this thing together, guys. I mean, I didn't have to do a thing to pull you power guys together. It's amazing.
It is. Yeah, that's true. She did everything. We didn't do anything at all.
I know. Tanner Brandt is here, President, Autodiag Clinic, LLC, trainer in the industry. He's been on. You've done a ton of great contributions to the podcast, Tanner. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And Michael Ingvardsen, Global Training Manager, Nissens. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Carm. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, I'm so happy. I'll break the code. You just heard a little bit of an accent. And I think if you've listened to the podcast and you've heard Michael come on a couple of times, Michael's from Denmark. It's 10 o'clock at night as we're recording this. If he dozes off, you'll understand why.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, I almost dozed off just a few minutes ago, but that should be fine.
Registration is now open for AAPEX 2024, November 5th through the 7th. You know, AAPEX will build upon the incredible success of Joe's Garage, a 10-bay working environment. From hands-on to the best training, if you earn your living in the auto service aftermarket, AAPEX is for you. Visit AAPEXshow.com. Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the most critical tool in your shop. And NAPA Tracks will move your shop into the SMS fast lane with on-site training, 6 days a week support, and local representation. Find NAPA Tracks on the web at NAPATRACS.com. Also, thanks to AftermarketManagementNetwork.com for information that can help you move your business ahead, and for the free and informative LaborRateTracker.com. Listen, I've been on a big education kick lately, and when Tanner and Michael and Tracy were talking about automotive education, kind of let's do a review of it, I'm a big fan of this because we can't improve enough of what we have, guys, and we can't help kind of push the entire educational piece, internal or through our educational systems. Before I start and jump into this, and Tanner, you've got some great points to make about high school and college. Just recently, something came up and I was talking about the word education versus training, because I think you both know I'm this big proponent for a language shift in the industry. And every time I bump across something, I said, my God, that's powerful. That would make us so much more professional to the outside world and internally. And I was thinking of training, and as I said that, someone said to me, but Carm, training is about being in the moment, and education is about long-term knowledge gain. And I thought about that for a minute. And guys, just work with me. There's an individual in the shop and something just happened, or there was this moment of learning that could have happened with one of my people. I go in and I say, hey, let's do some mini training. Here's what happened. Here's what could have happened. Here's an option. Here's this or that. And it really wasn't an educational dump. It was almost like a training dump. But when I go to a conference or I do a video, a lunch and learn, that's an educational thing. What say you, Tanner, on that concept?
I think when you're looking at doing like training with lunch and learns or any type of college training, or I guess Harvard Business School, something like that, that is a long-term process, has multiple steps to it, multiple classes to it. Trying to kind of think through what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and how you're going to plan it out is a lot different than what I'll call just-in-time training. So something popped up and you see an opportunity to just quick show somebody and say, hey, we can do this better. These are what you could do. But it's not something that's laid out a course of action or a, long-term learning schedule. So I guess I would say that both are good, but you have to think about what you're trying to accomplish with each.
The training is in the moment. And I think we need to say, I'm going for training. No, I'm going for education. And again, I don't want to belabor that because we got a lot of great things to talk about. But what say you, Michael?
I think we got to be careful, and we have to remember that things are very different in Europe than they are in the U.S. It's very difficult to drag people into a training class in Europe because They want to spend time with their family. When they work, they work. When they come home, they want to go to a training class. And we cannot get them into a training room on a weekend. It is impossible. It's vice versa in the US. We can get evening training class. We can actually get them in the training room or education room, whatever you want to call it, on a Saturday, Sunday. And that concept is a little bit different. So for me, training in Europe is very much short term, where we have to be really spot on when we do the training class in Europe, because we only have 3 hours on a Wednesday night. Whereas when I go to the US and do training classes and just came back last weekend where I did training class in Atlanta and Fort Lauderdale, we have them for 4 hours and it could be 8 hours. I can lay it out a little bit longer, but again, we only have them for that one day. But you're absolutely right. We got to be careful that we don't limit our training to being just right here, just right now, and look at it sort of long-term, saying, listen, this is just one part of what you're going to have to learn in the future. And you have to look a little bit more open-minded than just believe in what I say. You have to take what I say and use it on a daily basis based on what you do every day, basically.
It's so refreshing, Tanner, to have Michael on with us, because we get a chance to hear what's going on in Europe and how so different across the pond is in society. And let me just set this up front here so it doesn't come out later. How many weeks of vacation do you get in Denmark?
We have 7.
I mean, hello. Tanner, what would you do with 7 weeks, Tanner?
I just took a week off last week, and that's the most I've taken in a long time. So 7 weeks, I could do a lot. I would travel to Denmark. That's probably what I would do. Michael tells me that at Christmas time, it's really nice there. So
and cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you it's cold. Let's jump into this whole automotive educational thing. Tanner, high school, what do you see? I mean, God, I've done a lot of shows on this. And, BOCES is the name of the New York State grouping where they have a school and then multiple high schools send their people in for all the different skilled trades. We call it the Board of Cooperative Educational Services. I actually have a daughter-in-law that works in it, not in the automotive space, but in supporting challenged children at BOCES. It's a great, great system. Just did a tour of it. I mean, we were in 2 automotive shops at this particular center. They had the latest equipment I've ever seen.
Yeah. So attended a BOCES, and for those of you that are not in New York, it may be considered a vocational center, but it's considered or called BOCES in New York, and it's I would say technical career education path. They're really just a career education path because there's things that I wouldn't consider technical education. There's a nursing program, there's cosmetology, things like that. But it gives students a opportunity to take part of their day when they're in high school, their junior and senior year, and attend a career center and take classes that are typically away from their home school. So typically it's set up for an entire county. So several schools that are in that county will attend one BOCES. So not only do the kids get the opportunity to go to the center, but then they also get to the opportunity to meet other kids around in their local area that they might not through their normals.
Tanner, I got to stop you for a moment. Do you think the shop owners in the U.S. know to go knock on that door and say, hey, I got to talk to you about what we do? And here's the reason. The biggest push that we need to do this is when we were talking to one of the instructors, there's a whole bunch of independents, swooped down. They actually cooked us breakfast. We went in. We shared what we were doing. They learned more about our local college. We got a tour of the place. We're hanging out in the shop. And of course, the shop teacher looked at us as if we were mom and pops, and there's not a lot of money to be made, and there's not a lot of training that's available in the independent world. And they were shocked about it. We need to go get that message out because we're missing opportunities for apprenticing and to even send them off to the 2-year school. And my challenge is that the shop owners today have to do this. We have to.
I'm on around 6 advisory boards, probably cumulatively, and the shop owners most of the time never know. And if they do know about the centers, I would say not only just BOCES, but career centers, because now I'm in South Carolina, we have career centers here. Even if they do know about it, typically they don't know a ton about the program other than that the program exists. I get a lot of pushback about, the kids don't come out ready for the career, which my argument is always in 2 years, nobody's going to be ready for any career at that point. I really don't care what career it is. I don't think 2 years is enough time to learn it, especially automotive. If we look at just ASE's 8 subjects, those 8 subjects have been around since the 70s, but now we have ADAS, we have hybrid, we have EV. And then one that I've been bringing up lately that people don't even think about is the infotainment systems that are connecting with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in the problems that those present. And that's essentially having to understand the computer or understanding apps. And that's a whole nother thing. So we've kept those 8 areas for 2 years, but then we've added all of this other stuff. So there's no way that in 2 years anybody can learn all of that. But I want to quick bring up how this idea came to be and why I made Michael do this at 10 p.m. is a couple of years ago, Michael and I had sat down, I think we were at Max, and I grilled him about what education was like in Denmark for not just automotive, but as a whole, what the difference was in how students were able to see or get into career paths versus how we did it in the U.S. So, Michael, what does that look like? Is there BOCES? Is there vocational centers, things like that?
Oh, yeah, there is. But you have to remember the whole setup is different. You have to remember that the whole approach that we have to education is different because everybody is basically equal. So everybody has equal rights from you're born to until you turn 25 or 30, until you're graduated from whatever you've chosen. So anybody can go to any school as long as you have the right grades. Once you graduate, people don't care which school you come out of. As long as you graduated, you're at the same level as the ones that graduated in Copenhagen, where I live, which is the capital, that lives 300 kilometers away and 4 kilometers from, and so on. So we're very lucky it is that way. The approach is also that we want to keep people creative. We don't want to lock them into a specific topic and say, this is how things are done. You have to do it this way. No, we're always creative. Look at it like Lego. We always build these different Legos in different shapes and forms and colors and everything else, but everything has to fit together. And of course, there is a separation once you get into when you turn 16, 17, you need to pick another school, another education. Of course, if you don't have the right grades, you can't get in. But there's always a loophole. There's always a way around it. And I'm a proof of that because I didn't get good grades in school because I can't sit still and I don't want to go to school, which is kind of stupid when I'm a trainer. So, but then again, I took a loophole saying, okay, I'm not going to go this way, which is the direct way to be a trainer or be a technical trainer. Well, I'm going to go around it through other training programs. And I'm still in the same place as I would have been if I went to the straight path. I just did way more normal labor, so to speak. But we're also very lucky in Denmark that we actually get paid to go to school. We actually get $1,000 a month before taxes to go to school so that you do not have to go and have a job. Well, you don't have to work that much to actually support you while you go to school. And this you can have for 5 years. So even if I suddenly, when I'm 50 now, and turn out that, hey, I want to go back to school, I can still get 5 years of state-supported education.
It begs the question, Tanner. Wow. Okay, if you get $1,000 a month, pre-tax.
It's not.
What's it cost to go to school?
Hey, nothing.
It doesn't cost anything to go to a college to learn any particular. So everything is free in Denmark? I mean, who pays the taxes?
Well, we do. I mean, well, I do. I guess. Well, that's what it says in my paycheck. I do pay taxes. Unfortunately, I pay 50% in taxes. But you have to remember that. And this is where it becomes a cultural thing and not so much what I think is right or wrong. It doesn't really matter. You have to remember that we're sort of a socialist country where we believe in everybody should have equal rights. But that also means that everybody needs to support it all the way through. You get your first job, pay taxes all the way through, you're retired. For you pay the same if you have kids go to school and everything like we do in taxes. But once they're out of school, you're done. That's it. So it depends on what you believe in and how you're raised. You have to remember that I don't think like an American, and it doesn't change anything except for the fact that our culture is just this way. So we believe in this system. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that's the way it is. I like the one that we have, but because it's free, everybody has their rights.
Michael, how many years do they go to high school? What is your high school? Like
3
ours
years.
is, okay, so 3 years of high school. You know, like age-wise, that starts at 15?
Well, it's a little bit different because you got college, high school, and everything. That's kind of a mix between when you go to school. So we got like from 1st till 10th grade. When you leave 10th grade, you're like 15, 16. Then you go into what we would call sort of a mix between high school, college, university, whatever. So when you're 16 to 19, you go to that mix. Once you're done, if that's what you choose, you could also go in a different direction and be a carpenter, be an auto mechanic or auto technician. And then from that point on, you want to maybe go to university, or might want to get a bachelor or whatever, or you want to move to the States and get into an exchange program with the U.S. That doesn't cost you anything either. That's also supported by the Danish government because we pay taxes. So all these things, basically, until you are 30, you can go to school and not pay a damn thing.
For automotive students, this has got me thinking now. So like say they turn 16 and they want to get into automotive. What does that career path look like for one of those students?
They're going to be in school for 4 years and 6 months. 2 years of that is going to be physical training, meaning being in a workshop. You have to go and apply at a workshop to be a trainee, so to speak. So 2 years is going to be out in the field doing real work, and 2.5 years is going to be in school. That's where we enter the program, basically by offering technical services to the school, because you have to remember that the school's self-supported, sort of. They're 50% supported by the government and 50% self-supported. So they need to find that information themselves. And this is where we get into trouble, because if they can't buy that validated information anywhere, they have to rely on someone like us. And if I'm not a nice guy, but honestly, if I want to lie, I can lie and say, listen, we just developed this brand new thing and I'm just lying my ass off. And they're going to use that in their training material without anybody validating it. Where they're going to validate it, I'm in a niche area, AC, heat pumps. That's a niche thing. And heat pumps are fairly new still. Who's going to validate whatever I say? Are you going to Google it?
You know, Tanner, I find this so interesting that you want to know this. Are you running for president?
No, I don't know that they can pay me enough to run for president in this country. Maybe.
I just was curious. I mean, what's my listener going to do with this information but be pissed off?
I think it's very interesting, the difference of education here versus there.
It's a great point. But every other country in Europe does something different, right?
So we talked with Dirk at one point, and that was very similar. And that's now Dirk went as far as talking about like driver's education, and that typically when you get your license, there's a lot more to go through just to get your license than there is to, in the U.S. So your drivers, when they're coming into the repair shop, are also more educated than here. So it's just a very different thing. But overall, to me, looking at now, I guess to bring this further, is then into the training side. How does that relate to our training? So obviously I went through BOCES vocational, and then I got into the automotive training. I went through Toyota T10 college as well. So I saw that side of the training. So students here, if they go through BOCES, they have 2 years in high school, and then they have the opportunity to go through 2 years of college. So what I see on the advisory boards is the shops saying, okay, well, why are students not educated after high school and don't really understand that that was an intro and maybe we should be recruiting from the colleges, or if we're recruiting from a vocational school, that we have to understand that we should be either pushing them to go to college in automotive or pushing them to do continued education, and that in Denmark, they have 4 years and they understand that there's 4 years of training.
AAPEX 2024 and Joe's Garage is your main destination to experience the best business management and technical training. You'll find training for ADAS calibration, high-voltage vehicle technology, advanced drivability, diagnosing turbo problems, ultrasonic diagnostics, and fixing the nose start, among others. Go to AAPEXshow.com to register and see all your course options. Business management sessions will include driving shop profits through shop production, revolutionizing service advising, what Gen Y and Z are looking for in the workplace, building a dream team, and designing recession-resilient SOPs. Many of the industry's top trainers will lead the training, including Eric Ziegler, Greg Bunch, Rich Falco, Rick White, Cecil Bullard, Bill Haas, and Sarah Frazier, along with Keith Perkins, Isaac Rodell, and Robert Kenny, just to name a few. These sessions were picked from a panel of shop owners who reviewed more than 400 submissions. In addition, Joe's Garage will feature live car training sessions, including everything EV, Tesla drive train problem solving, an overview of Tesla information resources, and factory scan tools. This year, many training topics align with ASE certification tests, which will help participants prepare for certifications noted in session descriptions. There is an AAPEX special seminar package, which includes 5 training sessions of your choice. For more information and to register for AAPEX 2024 in Las Vegas, November 5th through the 7th, go to AAPEXshow.com. Let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax was built from the ground up to make your business more profitable and efficient. We provide an extensive set of tools to increase and track profitability in real time. NAPA Trax offers the industry's best post-sale support, hands down, and we train your people on site. Yep, on site. And we offer remote refresher training 10 times a week, and customer support is open 6 days a week. Give us a call, visit the website, or join our Facebook community today to learn more. We'll prove to you that Trax is the single best shop management system in the business. NAPA Trax is always customized and tailored for you, whether you're a one-man shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice. Visit us on the web at NAPATRAX, that's NAPATRACS.com. Hey, did you know at Automotive Management.Network.com you can find an SOP, a checklist, forms, along with policies and procedures that can help you move your business ahead? Well, sometimes you just need a little motivation to write a policy if only you had something to review and then make your own. You can save so much valuable time when you can grab a document from our library, make a few adjustments for your shop, and move to your next task. There are more than 350 searchable documents, with new documents arriving soon at AutomotiveManagementNetwork.com. Internships and apprentices can be a result of the couple of years worth of vocational in high school. They could be actually interning at a shop while they're going to school and then come out if we have an official apprentice program going on inside of our business. They don't have to go to college, but if they do, they can still go out and intern during that time, come back in, do the apprentice program, and start working on ASEs. I think there's career pathways here, and I just think we're too lazy to reach out and figure it out.
Yeah, like Michael was just saying, now Nissens is supporting their schools. How many companies do you know here that are actively supporting schools? I know shops that are, and I have people on the advisory boards from companies like Nissens and others, but they're typically there still to sell them something. So they're not really supporting them. So look at the difference, what can be learned just from that one thing. There's industry is supporting the schools there, understanding that it's not a 6-month support thing, a 2-month support thing. It's a continually ongoing support network for the schools to then help down the road, get them in shops. And then that's when the companies are finally going to see a return, is the students are hopefully going to buy those parts or whatever. But it's a long-term solution where I feel like everything in the U.S. with automotive education is so transactional and short-term. Let's look at, I don't want to throw names out there, but looking at some of the colleges that are 6-month programs. We have a 6-month program in comparison to other countries knowing that it's a 4-year program. Now, there are 4-year programs that you can take here in the U.S., but there's so many that get the majority of mainstream media coverage or marketing that are a 6-month program.
I'm blown away by the word transactional, Tanner. I think it's important. I think we really need to discuss this. And do you mean by transactional is it's really hands-off? There's no relationship there, or it's quick and fast?
I would say both. You pay an amount of money and you go to school. If you do good and you get everything you can out of it, maybe you'll turn out okay. If you go and you don't care and you fail, that's on you. However, some of the programs you may or may not get what you pay for. I mean, there's programs that are some of the shorter term programs that are crazy money that I know some of the people teaching at them. I know the curriculum being taught at them. Sometimes there's smaller schools that are cheaper with better instructors.
And that's a great question for both Michael and you. Where's our current instructor base getting educated?
Yeah, I can only say from our perspective, because when we started in Nissens training concept, one of the ideas or one of the purposes was to give something back to the industry. How do you do that? Through technical school, through the trainers. So what I do, and I'm actually leaving at 5:00 in the morning to go to a technical school in Denmark, where we share our material for free. They get everything for free, all the technical stuff, all the technical bulletins, everything they want. They get that for free. We don't ask them to write lessons on that. We ask them to use it if they can use it. But what we also do, we offer them training classes to come either to lessons or we go to them. So we say, listen, I mean, this is the newest thing. I have to remember that I'm not part of sales. I'm part of technical training class. One of the things that I said to our CEO when I started doing the NCC or being responsible for this was that I'm not part of sales. I'm part of technical training classes, and I'm part of everything that happens in the industry. Anything new that comes out there, new compressors, new condensers, new machines, new O-rings, whatever, I need to talk about it, whether we produce it or not. I need to know exactly what it does. That's why I'm leaving for the US next week to do testing on oil. I need to know what's out there in the market to use it for technical training classes and give back to the industry. We're living off the industry. Okay, we're living off the workshops. We need to give something back to make sure, well, you're just stupid because the compressor broke. Yeah, because the technicians are idiots. Yeah, well, what are you giving back to them so they are not idiots? Well, this is what we're giving back. And we're offering these training classes and all the material on the website or wherever. And there's tons of information out there. The problem is really, how do we validate it? Can we use Max to validate it? Can we use Mac Partners in Europe? Can we use VASA in Australia to validate the information? Because there's so much information out there. But unfortunately, the stories that I hear about different refrigerants or different oils is like, is this Christmas? Or are you just making up these things just because you don't want to talk about the bad side of things? So we really got to be careful what we say during a training class as well. And this is what we're trying to give back to the industry. We also have some technical schools in the US that ask for material. We give it to them. It's fine. I mean, just ask for it. We'll give it to you. You need it. And there's nothing secret about it. There really isn't.
Do you know how what is required for the instructors in your area? So like at a college, is there continued education required for them?
Yeah, there is. Unfortunately, where do you get that education? Where do you get it? You get it from me. I mean, you get it when you talk about AC, they call me. When you talk about transmission, they call CF. When they call about, that's how they get educated, or they go find it themselves online. Oh, look at Wikipedia talks about oil. Oh, that's probably true. Probably not. Again, how do we validate the information we're getting unless we go out there and say, listen, this is validated. We can prove this is validated information. So here you go. We have proof of everything that we say is correct. Whether it goes against us or works for us doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to me. I'm here to tell you about the technical aspect of how an AC system or heat pump or compressor condenser works. It doesn't matter whether I'm from Nissens or Valeo or whomever. Doesn't really, as long as it's true what I'm saying.
Right. Carm, what are your thoughts you're on your local advisory board. What are your thoughts?
Everything you guys are saying, I can absolutely validate the challenges that we're having. But here's what's going on, which is very exciting at our college, is we're going from an AAS degree to an AOS. And the problem that we found in our AAS, which included English, Science, and Math, is that our young freshmen coming in weren't passing it. And unfortunately, in our school, it's a standalone facility away from where you've got to go get that special education piece. And they weren't getting to school, and we found so many of our freshmen didn't have licenses. So now we're getting ready to start driver training. Everything that we can to make up for some of the inadequacies in our students. Not that they have inadequacies, but there are certain levels they haven't attained, if you will, right? And wanting to, I really want to be an automotive technician. English, Science, and Math, it wasn't in their think. So they were failing out. The Associates of Occupational Sciences, the AOS degree, doesn't have that. So we replaced those curriculum pieces with labs. And then we decided, because we could work the schedule smarter, is that we would do the lecture and then the lab right after it. Because of the way the schedules were working, we were doing the lecture. 2 days later, it was the lab. And so we got a brand new chairman of our department, and he was really analyzing this. You can't imagine what it took to get the AOS approved. It took about a year through the educational system, up and down, finally to get it authorized. That we're just starting it this fall, but we can't put everybody who's currently in their second year of AAS. It sounds crazy, but we're moving forward with a different kind of education. We've got some grant money, Perkins grant money for EV stuff. We've got to get some training going on. I couldn't be happier with what's going on, and the independents are jumping in heavy on the advisory board. We're doing a lot of interning. So I'm happy with what's going on here in Western New York. but it doesn't mean it's working everywhere. And that's the reason we're talking about education. We're talking about this because if you can hear what Tanner's talking about and what Michael and myself, maybe there's a little bit of an ounce of motivation for you to get involved.
Yeah. And what Carm just brought up, the AAS and AOS, is very interesting because that was something that I had a lot of consideration when I went to school. So AAS is Associates in Applied Science, AOS is Associates in Occupational Science. And like Carm said, the difference is you don't have to take math, science, English, some of the other stuff. What that changes is if the student wants to go long-term, say the student wants to start in automotive and then switch into engineering, typically those core classes are then needed in engineering. So at some point, if they take an AOS degree, they then have to get those credits elsewhere. So if you're a student looking to go into a school, make sure that you look at what you're getting and what your long-term goals are. Don't just think short-term, because that can affect how your credits transfer and what schools will take you. Both degrees are good. Both degrees have their ups and downs. Michael, this is another, I guess, thing that I want to ask is, do you know when they're in the colleges there, are they taking math, science, stuff like that?
They do certain different degree or certain levels. So, and also we have the same thing going on. If you need to get into a certain degree, you have to have a certain level of math or science or whatever. It's not a huge issue because you just take it over 2-3 months and then you're done and then you just apply again and then that's fine. They'll support you in doing that. So, and have to remember that from a geographical standpoint, it's easy for us to travel. We don't have that great distances. So everything's tied in. If you're in Copenhagen, you got like 40 schools around you. So you can easily get those extra classes. So it's not a big issue. But you have to remember that everything is tied in Denmark. Everything is tied into wanting you to get to that next level. We don't have separate educations or anything else. Everything is tied into once you went to, primary school, then it went to another level. Everything is tied into each other. So we know exactly where you're going. And you have counselors already from 8th grade that's going to come and talk to you and say, listen, if you want to do this, you have to do that and blah, blah, blah. So everybody knows exactly where they're going to go and they have the right education.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
We don't have that going on.
Nope.
We don't have that going on. I almost think that the quota system, Tanner, is completely different here. We want to see our kids go to college and have $300,000 worth of debt at the end of 4 years to go get the high school education that we didn't give them now. Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I just toured last weekend Harvard's campus, and I can see where the money is spent now. That was one of the coolest things I got to do, and I am very jealous of everybody that got to go there. I would love to go there and take classes. They have a phenomenal campus.
And you're going to have to remember one thing. You cannot privately donate to a school in Denmark. You cannot. It is illegal. So if I want to go to my kid's school, we have foster kids, but if I want to go to my kid's school and go, listen, I want to sponsor a whole new wing or whatever, no, that's not going to happen. You can donate to whatever you want to donate to, but you cannot, no.
No legacy.
Not for me, at least.
I'm listening to you guys talk in this change of curriculum in the English, science, and math, and I wrote down these words, soft skills. And unfortunately, a lot of our young people are coming out of college not even knowing how to write a check. Not that it's important anymore, or to build a resume, or to how to have an interview. And these are all kinds of soft skills, and I think we need to figure out how to get back to that, or at least engage in it.
All right, so I've got an exercise. Everybody is going to do this with me. So I had to take a AAS degree. So I had to take a course called Interpersonal Communications. So Carm and Michael, cross your arms. Now cross them the other way. Feels weird. Now we have to talk about a topic, and you have to stand here like this with your arms crossed a weird way and try to hold a conversation with somebody. So I'm going to ask a question. Carm, your teachers that are at the college that you're currently at, or that you're currently on the advisory board for, how were they chosen? Do you know?
I have no idea. It's a great question. They're in the union.
Michael, the school that you were helping, any idea how the educators were picked there?
I'm sure they just apply and then they get the job more or less because nobody wants to be a technical trainer anymore. So I guess it's fairly simple to become one, at least if you're a technician. But or trained automotive technicians. But yeah, that's not how it works. So yeah.
Okay. You've both passed. You can uncross your arms now.
I'll go back on the fact that we are constantly looking to hire people, and they've got to have themselves a decent background in automotive, have worked as a technician or shop owner. We're looking for all kinds of part-timers, but we still don't pay anywhere near what a red-blooded mechanical or technology specialist can earn. And I mean, that's one of the biggest gaps we have.
What we're seeing right now is that people or mechanics go work for technical school because it's an 8 to 4 job or 8 to 3. They're tired of working late. They're tired of not knowing if their weekend's going to be tied up at the workshop or not. So it's to get the family life to work. And I fully understand that Denmark is an extremely rich country. We're extremely lucky that we have a high living standard. But for us, family values are way more important than earning that extra buck or getting that next BMW, Porsche, bigger house, bigger boat, or whatever. We're going back to basics saying, listen, I want to spend time with my family. I want to be with my kids and be with them so I don't look back when they're 18 and leave the house or 21. I didn't spend time with them, but thank God I've got 2 BMWs and a Mercedes, so I should be damn happy. They go back and go, but we're not happy. We want to spend time with the people that we do care about. And this is a trend we're seeing. I actually had a conversation last week with someone here in Denmark saying, listen, we can't even pay them more. They won't stay longer because they prefer to go back home. We cannot pay them $10,000 or $20,000 more a year and get them to stay. They would rather just say, nope, I'll stay at my 8 to 4 job and I'm not going anywhere because I'm happy with coming home, making dinner, having dinner with my kids, driving them to soccer or whatever. It's a different priority now. And I fully understand that, yes, we have different opportunities in other parts of the world. But that's when you have a fairly rich society, money is not going to buy you. There will be a certain amount of people that will do that. But nope, they will go back to saying, hey, enough is enough.
Having a better work-life balance. But that conversation takes place because, back to what Carm just brought up, the communication skills. They're willing to have that conversation, willing to sit down and say, okay, what is working, what isn't working? Is it changing generationally? Is it changing societal? Why are the changes taking place and what can be done with them? What is the right thing for industry? What is the right thing for school?
Well, just look at me. I mean, I used to travel 300 days a year. I mean, it was great. I loved it because I felt like this is what I had to do. There was no other way to do my job. Then I met my wife and she went, if that's the way you're going to do it, we're going to be divorced within 6 months. And I went, okay, maybe I should change the way I look at things and kind of do things differently. And yes, my private life balance is way better now. It's not as good as it should be, but it's getting way, way better. But I also have to understand that I'm 50 years old now. If I want to appreciate the time that I have with my family, this is now. This is it. In 10 years, they're not going to be here. I'm sitting in this big house on my own. It might have been fun traveling, but what was it worth? Nothing, absolutely nothing, except for the fact that I have great friends all over the world. But it was just work. So that balance has to be in place. And I think for someone like us that does travel, I mean, no matter, especially in the U.S., you got to be careful because you're going to burn your fingers if you don't wake up and realize, okay, there has to be a balance between all of this. And that's also where we have to teach these kids and say, listen, I mean, you might want to be progressive, want to be aggressive, make money, but listen, you can still make a pretty good amount of money and still have a normal life at home. Of course, everything is a sacrifice, but there can be a balance between work and private life.
Tanner, you've done such a great job of asking all these great questions. And I know there's, in the remaining minutes, and I don't know how many, we can have 100 remaining minutes, but one of the thoughts that you had coming into this before we turned on the microphones was about the different style that the trainers bring between Europe and the U.S. and the different technology platforms that they use. I'm interested in that, Tanner.
Those that know me know that I used to work for WorldPack as a training manager and used to help with developing content, not only my own, but other trainers, and got to work with other companies. So that's how I met Michael and had got to look at all of the training content that Nissens had done and the training content the ZF has done and all these different companies. And in the US, most of the time, we'll use PowerPoint, and the PowerPoints are kind of static. Sometimes there's videos in it, but very few and far between. And then sometimes if you are a ATMC accredited training organization, you will have questions at the end of testing to answer or to have the students answer. looking at the way a lot of the European companies do it, the curriculum is a lot fancier and looks a lot nicer. They're typically not using PowerPoint. So when you get sent a slide stack from Nissens or from any of those companies, they look so much nicer than ours, and they're all professionally designed. Michael, do you guys have, I know you said it was a design person, but the person that does that, what would be their job title?
They're just a designer that we support technically how it should be done. So basically, we tell them what we want to have created. We show them sort of a schedule or sort of a markup of what we want them to do. Then they do it. And then we tell them where we want this to be interactive. We want that to work this way, that way, and so on. But I have to be honest, we've been very lucky finding a creative person that's very good at doing that. But you also have to remember, if you're a good PowerPoint developer, and I'm not. So I'm so lucky that I have a marketing department that are great at that. So even a PowerPoint presentation can be interactive. But the problem is that usually it's someone like us that does it. And I'm not a PowerPoint guy. Well, I am, but I'm not very good at creating them. But the problem is it lies on me to create it, meaning that it becomes very static if I have to do it. But once a creative designer or marketing person does it, suddenly they see it from a different perspective, and we need to be entertained. Honestly, we're doing a show, putting on a show. So the canvas has to be interactive or entertaining instead of being just one slide where there's 1,000 million words on it. And you go, this is boring. I mean, I've been at those training classes.
I love what he just said, Tanner. He said the canvas. And in my mind, that's the picture, if you will, that speaks to you.
Yep. Looking at how their content is designed, not only from a design perspective, but also from a learning perspective. And I was trying to remember the name for it. And I didn't know. That's why I asked Michael. I didn't know if they had somebody with this occupation, but it's basically like educational design. And so not just the graphic, but how the education content should be laid out, the order in which it should be laid out, the questions that you should be trying to answer, basically creating an outline and then making sure that what your outline is going to answer the questions that you're hoping to answer during the class, but then also it's content that's needed in a certain education space. So I don't know a ton about this, don't know what it's called or what the career would be called, but there's people that basically build learning management systems or education systems.
But I think what you're saying is you don't need a graphic artist. You need someone who knows how to get that data interpreted over into the student's mind.
Yeah. Educational design process from, I don't know what it's called, but at any rate, they do a lot better job.
There's just an art to it.
Yeah, they do a lot better job, in my opinion. Most of the European companies that I've worked with do a lot better job of doing that, organizing content, making the content really nice looking. Carm brought up that he's colorblind, and I feel like a lot of that is thought through more so than what we do and what a lot of the trainers that you may see at a conference that we go to. If you go to Nissens or you go to ZF or you go to Vallejo, a lot of those companies, Nissens had a learning management system online with interactive learning and testing before many other companies in the U.S. So that was something that they had always thought through, I feel like, and technicians there and students there were taking advantage of far before we were in the U.S. We have gotten there. I would say also that I feel like some of them could have looked at things that Nissens and others did and learned from them instead of trying to design from the ground up. But there's a lot to be taken from sitting through a Nissens class or other class that was developed outside the U.S. because of how everything is organized in what it looks like, what is being taught, and why it's being taught. There's just a lot more that goes into that.
I've got to say something, which, Tanner, I think you've been one of the guys at a conference, and you said, well, yeah, I got to do a class tomorrow. I can't have a drink tonight. I can't go out. I've got to go out and tweak something. I just thought of something. I got to fix my slides. So many of our U.S. trainers have their own, this is their deck. These are their slides. It is a living, breathing organism. Now think about Michael. Michael's got this support person, and he goes, ooh, I need to change on my slide. Does it take 2 weeks? What happens?
Sure. I mean, the only problem is you cannot be that impulsive. I mean, that's the only issue. You cannot be that impulsive. But you have to remember, this is not my training deck. It's all of my trainers' training deck. And we all use the same. Nobody's allowed to do anything else because we want to make sure everybody gets the same knowledge out there. That's so important that we keep it so that, yes, I can tweak it if I'm in Atlanta or I'm going to be in in Randers tomorrow, or I'm going to be in Copenhagen, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, you're right. It's to the point, Tanner, think about Ryan Koyman with Standard, right? Ryan probably has these decks for all of his trainers, and they need to be corporately solid. In your case, being an independent individual, and there's a lot of you out there, you're constantly improving. So we have corporate support structure that Michael has. We have the other thing that Standard would have and all these other large companies, NAPA training, the deck's got to be universal and right. And then we have the creative independents like you. Interesting.
Listen, I would pay somebody to make my slides look like Nissan's slides do, though, because they look way better than mine.
All right, let's talk about that later.
One of the things that I want to come back to, because I kind of got us off topic with my exercise about soft skills in interpersonal communication. So the exercise that I made you guys do was something that I was made to do on my first day of interpersonal communications class. And interpersonal communications was something that it was a college elective, but it was something that we got forced to make through the Toyota T10 program. And it was probably the best college course that I ever took. So we walked in and the lady made us all stand up and do that exercise with crossing our arms, and then was like, all right, now talk to the person next to you on the very first day of the very first class. So you didn't know anybody next to you. And it was the most awkward feeling in the world. And she's like, all right, everybody passes, sit down. She's like, so that's what the rest of this semester is going to be like. Every day I'm going to make you talk to people in uncomfortable situations about uncomfortable things so that you learn how to communicate with people no matter the situation you're in. I have talked to so many people, and no other automotive school makes anybody take that course. And that is something that is so needed in our industry, is a communications course. I have no idea if that is something that is done in other countries, but if you can get that in your school, you need it.
Yep, they're out there. Sarah Fraser and Tracy are doing one at ASTA this year, and we just launched a brand new podcast called Speak Up from Craig O'Neill, Effective Communications. So we have seen and recognized this. I think the industry is waking up to that whole need for better communications, front to back, up and down, as leaders, out to in, to your clients. I think we're on a really big push with communication and service advisor training right now, Tanner.
Yeah. I have another guy local to me. He does communications training, doesn't have anything to do with automotive. And I think one of the things that he does that was so cool is he coaches people one-on-one, and he will take them to downtown Greenville and just make them walk up to strangers and start talking to them and explain to them that they're in a communications course and that they have to do this, but he just makes them go up to people. And for like a solid week, they have to learn to talk to strangers. And he'll do it with people that have, no desire to talk and are just very shy people, to get them to learn to talk.
I think Michael's that kind of guy. He's never met a stranger, right, Michael?
Are there any strangers in the world? Are we just all friends and have a good time? Yeah, nope. Yep, I've never tried that. Nope.
Yes, we are. This was a fascinating. I have to tell you, we went down about 4 rabbit holes. This was fun.
We did.
Final words to my friend over the pond, Michael?
Yeah, well, at least this time I didn't go through any marriage counseling or whatever marriage. We had some marriage advice last time.
Just go type in Michael on my website and listen to all his stuff that he's done with us. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the only thing I want to say is just keep going to training classes. And honestly, you can only become more clever. And there's so many courses and so many things out there you can learn from. And it's just great that UCOM are willing to do this, and you, Tanner, as well. Do as much as you can, because we need it, and all the students need it. Some of them don't know they need it, but they do. Whether it's in Europe, whether it's in China, whether it's in the US, doesn't really matter. Get out there and get some people trained. That's what it's all about.
All right, Tanner, you have the last word, my friend.
Main thing is for colleges and high school education centers, listen to this, think through some of the things that might be done differently, look at what takeaways you should implement, and think about, if you are a large company like Nissan's or other, what you can do to help your schools, whether that be high school or college. Think about how you can get involved in the long term and what you can do to help.
Boy, you know what? That prompts me to think about doing an episode on that. And not just setting up your equipment, and not just, there's so many more ways. I know that the colleges, they're starving for industry to get involved with them. So thanks so much for bringing that up. This was great, guys. Tanner Brandt, president of Auto Diag Clinic, LLC, and an incredible trainer in the industry. Thanks for bringing me and this whole idea that you and Michael had talked about a while back. And Michael Ingvardsen, Global Training Manager, Nissens from Denmark. Thanks for being on. And I know you're usually sleeping by now, but it's 11 o'clock at your place at night. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Welcome. Anytime. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.